Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the like button on the way in. Baby, when I tell you I am so excited for this reunion, when I tell you I am excited for this reunion. Woo. Oh my gosh. Ready to Love, the finale is here. And I'm about to review it, but I must say, baby, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode for probably all the wrong reasons. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So we're going to get into it. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on, crew. Let's go. Let's go. Hey, Danielle. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Driven Black Girl. Hey, Bookie Bear. Hey, DeMarcus. So let's get started. Let's get started. So we start off with some type of brunch that they're having or whatever the case may be. Yes, Libra season is on deck. It's over the horizon. Libra season is coming soon. So they're at brunch. And Tommy is pretty much saying, okay, so ladies, this time around, you have to introduce the gentleman to your family. All right. It is now your turn. And so at that point, once you guys have done that, you should have the decision on who you're going to love, if you're ready for love or if you're not. Now, interesting enough, after he did all of that, okay, Tommy says, now for you two, Cisco and Tay, when I got with my wife, I didn't have nothing. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a job. She had to get me a car. She had to do everything for me. Okay. I had nothing. I didn't know which way I was going to go. I didn't know what my next move was going to be. But now, my wife has everything. She ain't got to do nothing. And of course, Cisco's like, preach. And Tay's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you're making a valid point. I'm feeling this in my soul. And he was like, so on that note, peace. Now, mind you, I'm going to show y'all real quick if y'all can quickly see it. I don't know if you guys know about the Divine Nine, but like I told y'all, Cisco is a Kappa. Guess what Tommy is? Tommy's a Kappa, okay? So you're not going to convince me this was Noop to Noop. Let me look out for my Noop brother real quick, okay? And that's why he threw up that diamond in a heartbeat, and then he did the fake crying like he's done this whole entire season with no tears coming out of his eyes. Now, here's the part that you had missing, Tommy. Can you please explain to me when you had nothing? Was it possibly in your 20s when you and your wife got together? Maybe even in your early 30s that you and your wife got together? Because see, that is understandable. When you're in your 20s, maybe your early 30s, and you're trying to figure out life, especially with you trying to get into the entertainment industry that you're in, I could see her trying to push you and help you achieve your goals, but not at 50. Okay? Not at 50. At a certain point, you have to be realistic with your goals. All right. And so the fake crying, I'm not with it. Cisco, there's not one tear that has ever come out of your eyes, even when you eliminated old girl. I'm not with it. What this was, let me give you the alley-oop. So Noop to Noop, I'm going to make sure that she going to take care of you so you can sit up there and achieve your goals. That's what it was given to me. That's what it was given to me. Yeah, I'm not with it. I don't care. Sorry. There's at a certain age where you have to be realistic. I am not saying that you can't still pursue your goals, because as far as I see it, as long as you have air going in your lungs and you are breathing and your heart is pumping, your brain is working, you should try to achieve your goals. But you also have to be realistic by having a stable job and stability. Because most of the time, whatever you're trying to achieve, you need to make money. So therefore, you have to probably spend money in order to make the money. Sir, you need stability. So I ain't trying to hear that. But again, that's his frat brother. And they gonna look out for each other, even if it means that they know he ain't ish. Okay, just like his LB's Line Brothers did a couple of episodes ago. And so they all hugging him and stuff. And I'm like, you still haven't explained to us why you've hit rock bottom, why you and your wife literally are no longer together to where you had to start over. Why? You haven't explained any of that stuff. For it to just be cheating, he mentioned he cheated before, but for it to just be cheating, I don't know. He's still very mysterious. That's why I don't trust him. So let me move on to this idiot, Hussein. Hussein realizes that he made a big mistake. Okay. Y'all crew, hey babies, make sure you hit them. I'm gonna do a Monique on y'all. Hey, sweet babies, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. So he sits down with Angie and he's saying since Rose went home, he just doesn't feel right. What you feel is guilt. That's what you feel is guilt. And he said he just doesn't feel right sitting there with Angie, knowing that Angie was his number two. Well, sir, if Rose was such your number one, if she was the number one, why were you so quick to X her out over her baby daddy who's incarcerated? And then, baby, did y'all see the preview of the reunion? And we find out that apparently Hussein has been incarcerated too. The irony of it all, that he has the audacity. But at the same time, he's just out of it. He ain't feeling himself. He's just like, you know what? And he tells Angie, he said, I'm going to self-eliminate. I don't want to waste your time. And, I'm not feeling it. And Angie's like, hey, I respect that. I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know. They hug it out and he walks out. Yeah, I can't wait for this reunion. Because based on that finale, Rose is going in on that finale. And I'm not even mad at her. So at that point, bye, Hussein, you messed up. You made something that could have been so freaking small. And granted, again, if he asked Rose, tell me everything about your baby daddy, and she mentioned everything but that, he has a right to be concerned. But at the same time, I don't think it was something that was that big of an issue where they could not have worked it out, especially if he's also been incarcerated as well. So I know some people have different opinions on that, but if that was your number one, I don't see how that's a deal breaker that much. Especially afterwards, she told you that no, there is no relationship. We have nothing going on. It will never happen, even when he does get out of jail. So then at this point, it's just Cam, the scam. That's what I'm going to call him, Cam, the scam, and Angie's people. Now, Angie introduces Cam to her brother, her sister-in-law, and I don't know who that other girl is next to her. I guess I could assume that's another sibling, but she didn't really say much. They focused on Angie's brother and his wife. And so at this point, they talk about the busting the windows out the car, busting the windows. I understand. I know y'all saying y'all don't trust. Like somebody said, yeah, Danielle said you don't trust Rose. Rose has thorns. I said that. But at the same time, clearly Hussein is feeling a certain way. He feels guilty because here it is. You decided to make that a big deal and a deal breaker as if you had a replacement and you wasn't even feeling Angie like that much in the first place. But moving on to the conversation, of course, they talk about the bust the windows, and Angie brother is like, did that scare you? And I'm like, heck yeah, it scared him. You know why it scared him? Because Cam is a scam, all right? He's a scam. You could tell he's the type that he throws a rock, hides his hands, probably does a lot of passive aggressive stuff in a relationship. And then when a woman's fed up and she finally reached her breaking point, he wants to say she tripping. He's giving me those vibes 50 times over. So at that point, he was like, I just don't want no drama in my life. And that's just the main reason. And so the brother's like, look, communication is key. And so he gives some jewels. His wife gives some jewels. You could definitely tell they have a solid relationship. So then at that point, he was like, Cam said, I already make her happy. It's just at this point, making a decision. And Angie gives him a little awkward kiss on the cheek. It was so weird. I was just kind of like, it's almost like she was hesitant to give him a kiss, but then she finally kind of gave him a peck. Very weird. But with that being said, he ends up leaving. But in a nutshell, her brother is like, yeah, I think you may be a little too spicy for him. You're a little too spicy. You're a little too spicy. I don't know if that's going to necessarily work out. You probably just scare him a little bit too much, okay? So then we have Taye. And by the way, Taye, I will say Taye and Rose were the top dressed girls this season. This lime dress that Taye had on, baby, it was everything. Like Taye knows how to dress to the nines. And I also feel like Rose know how to dress too. So Taye introduces Cisco to her cousin and her aunt, okay? The cousin comes in like straight up, look, what can you do for her? What do you do for a living? Like she's going into the point where Cisco, of course, gets uncomfortable because, real questions get him uncomfortable. He was like, I don't mean to be rude, but, I want to hear from the auntie. The auntie asked the softball questions about how are you when you're upset? And he said he goes to work out when he's upset. It seems like you go to work out to try to do everything at this point. It seems like that's what you do for a living is work out. So then at a certain point, they say, well, what do you feel like could be like the wedge between you guys? And he says his career choice. Now, let me ask you this, crew. Do we know what his career choice is? I don't think I heard what his career choice is in this show. So the only thing I could guess is acting, which is why he's on this show. And if that's what he wants to do, baby, good luck. Because if you were supposed to cry on cue and all of those moments, it didn't work for me. I wasn't convinced that you was really getting emotional. I'm hoping that acting is not what he wants to do, because whatever he wants to do is not guaranteed stability. Usually that's entertainment. Because to me, what he should be doing is doing something in the fitness realm. Like he should be doing something with fitness, because clearly he likes to take care of his body. He probably knows all the best supplements to have. He may, want to focus on being a dietitian or something in the fitness area. He probably could make a lot of freaking money, but something tells me he is going for something totally that could be literally a dice game. Like it would be an issue. Like if you don't make it, which a lot of people don't. I'm from La La Land. The entertainment industry is, is iffy. And you don't find that many reality show people end up making a lucrative career out of acting. Usually when they're in the reality show area, they stay in that area because they never can't jump from reality show to like legit TV and film. Let me see what you guys are saying. Exactly. Tommy know he ain't got no job, but he a noob. He a noob. Yeah, he gonna get Tubi stuff, and Tubi stuff ain't gonna pay him. So with that, he said that would be the main thing. But when he leaves, the aunt's like, I really like him. He's a nice guy. The cousin is like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The lack of stability. Bottom line, you guys are not equally yoked. And yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. And Taye is looking at her cousin like, her heart dropped, because she knows realistically she's right. She knows her cousin is right because she's been talking about it the whole entire time. But is she going to listen? She ain't going to listen at all. She ain't going to listen at all. So then we go to Kiki and Jay, my man. and she introduces Jay to her cousins, okay? And so her cousins is like, is this your man, your man, your man? She's like, yeah, I think it's my man, my man, my man. And so at that point, she talks about, yet again, the getaway, the rubbing of the neck, the rubbing of the inner thigh. And I get it, but I'm even tired of hearing it at this point. I'm over it. But she talks about that, saying, he's very flirtatious. He sits down, and he's being nice and cordial, whatever the case may be. But even the cousin is like, yeah, you're naturally a flirt. Even the way you be looking people up and down and smiling and stuff like that, like, this is just how you are. Like, you're gonna have to work on that, because she could easily think that you constantly flirting. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna work on it or whatever. And so he's sitting up there laughing and chilling with them, and he says that he feels that he should be the provider, the full provider or whatever, because that's what he knows in his family. And I said, you dang on right. That's what I like to hear. I mean, I'll help out or whatever the case may be, but I would like to save as much of my money as possible if I can. Now sometimes that comes with some issues, but at the same time, he said he's down for paying, not 50-50, but he's paying for everything. So they laugh in it, and y'all, what's up with the side tooth missing? Like, help me understand. Jay got a side tooth missing. Kiki, I believe, got a side tooth missing. The cousin got a side tooth missing. Am I missing something with the side tooths missing, and just not on this show, but in general? I need to understand this. If there are any dentists that watch my channel and will watch this review, help me understand. Why is that the first tooth that disappears? And why does it seem like they can't get it replaced? Is it a lack of insurance? Because at this point, you have Cherry, you have what's the other payment plan that you can do? Care Credit. You got a lot of options to make monthly payments on a tooth. I need, and I ain't even trying to throw shade, but every time people smile, and it seems like people who got the side tooth missing, they the main ones laughing from ear to ear. So I just need to have an understanding what is going on. Beautiful lady, by the way, but I'm just saying, she smiled, and the teeth is missing. It's missing. Insurance to pay to pull, not replace. Oh, no. You can get a tooth replaced. It'd be a payment plan, but you can get it replaced. You can get it replaced. There is a way to get it replaced. There's too many payment plans out there. And it's not like they're getting the whole bridge. They're getting one toothus, just one. I'm just asking. I want to know. So any dentists out there who may watch this, please help me understand. And I'm serious. What is up with the side teeth missing? Especially with my people. I do not understand this, but let me move on. I ain't gonna keep talking about the teeth. Let me tell y'all something. Sahara and her sister, baby, they need their own show. Let me get a drink. They need their own show. When I tell you they are hilarious, they are hilarious, all right? They was just giving me everything that I needed. And Sahara said her sister, she said like 3 times worse than her, or 3 times her. So she was like, yeah, Cam better be ready, or whatever the case may be. So she says, Cam sits down. And at this point, the first thing that the sister asked him, she said, first of all, she's like, he got a nice smile, which Cam does. Cam the scam does have a nice smile, all right? And so at that point, y'all keep talking about these teeth are expensive. One tooth, how much does one tooth cost? No. We not, no. Care Credit and them Care Credits and them Cherries, they do, you do not have to have good credit. You know why I know this? Because one of my hood booger cousins, baby, like them ghetto cousins that literally use their kids' social security numbers, for the cable and the phone and stuff, she was able to get approved. Now, I understand if, you know what I'm saying, financially or whatever the case may be, you may not be able to do the monthly payment or whatever. But at this point, I'm just saying, I don't understand. And it's always the missing tooth, and always seems like it's on the same side. The same side. But let me stop talking about these teeth. Let me get back to the review. So, yeah, back to Sahara and her sister. So she was like, okay, you got a nice smile. And she was like, so first things first, where's your baby mama? And I said, not where's your baby mama? Not what you do for a living first. Not, you know what I'm saying? Like, she said, where's your baby mama? And he said, baby mama, I ain't got no baby mama. She said, okay, points for you. God, that's too okay. You got a nice smile, no baby mama, okay. And then she was like, he said, yeah, you know, I'm a firefighter. He's like, oh, she's like, oh, you a firefighter, okay, career wise. And Kim was like, sorry, you didn't tell her nothing about me. And she was like, no, I figured you could tell her yourself. She said, but I did tell her you were indecisive, though. I did tell her that. And I said, up, here we go. And so at that point, he was like, why you keep talking about this fool? And she was like, you just dragging me along. And she was like, boy, you know, we will jump you at this table. And the sister was like, don't be dragging my sister. So then he was like, you know, me and Sahara been through a lot. And I'm like, what is being through a lot? What do you mean a lot? What do you mean a lot? And so he's talking about the fact that he's always been there to defend Sahara in the vault. I feel like he wants brownie points for that. He wants brownie points for that. And I'm like, dude, at the end of the day, like, what does that necessarily mean when you had two other women that you have been straggling along this whole entire time? You acted like you couldn't make a decision. So then at that point, she's like, yeah, okay, yeah, he was defending me in the vault. And the sister was like, okay, well, you know, I do want my sister to have someone who can defend her. And then she was like, I just want to know if you have a decision. Because, you know, you just keep playing games. You have a decision. And he looks at her and he's like, I have an idea. And she's like, an idea? What do you mean an idea? It's either yes or no. And he was like, why you keep bringing this up? He's like, you know what? I got to go. And then he kind of mushed her head, which I felt like, I don't care if it was playful or not. Don't touch my hair. I don't care if it's synthetic hair. My hair is my hair. The braids are my braids. And then he was like, can I get a hug? And she kind of want to give him a fake hug or whatever. But she tells her sister, like, look, at the end of the day, the decision should be made at this point. Tomorrow is the day and you haven't made a decision yet. You talking about you still just have an idea? And she was like, if you're not sure about me, I am not sure about you. And I was like, I'm feeling her on that. I am straight up feeling her on that. Make sure you guys hit the like button on the way in and share the live for your girl. Thank you. So at the end, we have the couples meeting up to talk. And of course, we already know Kiki and Jay were going to be ready to love. And will they last? I think possibility this would be the couple that will last as long as Jay kind of controls the flirting, I guess, so to speak, and just realize that, you know, she gonna have them dart eyes ready for him if he act up. And as long as she's able to communicate, I think they can definitely last. So I was kind of bored on this part because I was like, I mean, you guys have picked each other from the beginning. Like, there was since the beginning, we knew that you guys were going to be together. Kiki didn't try to pursue anyone, and Jay rarely pursued anyone besides that whole situation with Sahara. And then we have them. He looked very noopish with his bow tie. People understand the divine nine in the Greek world. For those who know. And she had a beautiful dress on. I barely was really hearing what they were saying because I do not care. I do not care. I do not care what he said. Half of the time, it looked like he could barely look her in the eye. And then she was saying all of her nonsense. And I guess both of them have accepted each other and they're ready to love on her dime, on her budget. She walks down the stairs and she says, I got my man. And I'm like, girl, you got a bill. You got a mortgage of a man, because he seems very high maintenance and it's probably going to cost as much as a mortgage to maintain him. Okay. Yeah, but if that's what you want, honey, you want a bill for a man for a bill, and yeah, then whatever. So let's get down to the good stuff, honey. Of course, they showed a close up on Cam because we don't know who I guess he was going to pick. In my personal opinion, it was very obvious at that particular point he was going to pick Sahara. I just did not see Angie popping up at all whatsoever. Sahara comes, you know what I'm saying, in her beautiful yellow dress. And, you know, she kind of smiling, but she definitely seems like she's walking with purpose. All right. And so she gets up there and she's like, you know, Cam is a nice guy. She give him a hug and everything. And so he's pretty much talking to her about, you know, his decision and giving her all of the hoop and run around. And she's just like coming in hot. She's like, you did not make me feel secure. You didn't make me feel comfortable. Here we are, like literally last night, and you were still unsure. And I ain't playing that. I don't like it. I didn't like the way you made me feel. Can you even understand my position in this situation? And if you guys notice, I believe Cam, the scam, kept saying at first, what if I was going to choose you? What if I was going to choose you? What if? What you mean, what if? At this point, it's not a what if. And to me, he was still saying that because he really still in his mind did not have a full decision of what he wanted. Okay. And so at that point, she was like, it ain't no what if. You should have already known. You should have already known. Now, that tells me, because at first, when she first started talking, I said, Sahara, can you please stop talking? Like, let this man speak. But you could tell she already made up her mind. She already had made up her mind probably the night before that if he hasn't even said at that point that I'm his one and only, I'm not about to waste my time, his time, no one's time. So she was barely allowing him to finish. So then finally, as he saw that she was about to step away, he finally said something like, I was choosing you. And she said, well, baby, I choose me. I choose me. And I said, oh, I can't even be mad at that. I can't be mad at that. Because here's why. Like I said, probably, and I think a couple episodes ago, especially for Black women, people always assume that we should date down and we should just accept what's willing to, I guess, tolerate us, or they can pick and choose however they want, and we should just be happy that someone wants us. And Sahara was like, not over here. Not over here. And I'm going to assume that a lot of people, because she's a little rough around the edges, she's a roundaway girl, probably assume that she should have just taken Cam. She said, no, I choose me. I love myself to know that if you are not ready and completely head in first when it comes to this, and that you know that I am the one, I am it, I don't want it. And I can't even be mad at her about that. She ain't no Taye. She's no Taye who literally is willing to like lower her standards just to have a man. Sahara was like, you got me effed up. You got me effed up. Look, I may be rough around the edges. I may be a hood girl, but I know my worth. I know my standard, and you not about to sit up there and make it seem like I should be happy that you finally chose me, even though you were stringing me along this whole entire time. I'm not mad at her. I am not mad at her. So she said, are we done? Are we done? And he looked like his face dropped and he was so embarrassed. Cam, this is what you get. Again, he gave me vibes that he would just say all the right things, because he knows that's what they wanted to hear versus what he really felt. Cam the scam. But he did say that he couldn't even be mad at Sahara because that's how she felt. So he couldn't be mad at what her decision was. So baby, in the confessional, they was like, so what you got to say or whatever. And she was like, suck it, Cam, suck it. And I mean, she literally did the whole hand gestures and everything. And she laughed it off, but I can't wait to this finale. I can't wait till this finale. Baby, it looked like Angie goes off on Cam saying, keep my name out your mouth. Sahara looked like she going after Cam. I'm wondering, and then we got somebody sitting up there saying that Cam possibly got a baby on the way, okay? And then we have Rose, like I said, dropping that bomb saying, Hussein, you talking about my baby daddy, but you was incarcerated also. Ooh, it looks like it's going to get juicy. It's going to get juicy. And I'm here for it. Yes, I am here for it. But I can't be mad at Sahara. I feel like Sahara made the right decision when she said she chose her. Amen, my sister. Amen, my sister. At the end of the day, I have definitely said my jokes here and there about her, but I can't even be mad at her in that moment because Cam was playing games. He was playing games, bottom line. Driven says, I will never date down or date only for love ever again. You got that right. Because, we're told that love is the only thing we need when it comes to Black women, right? Nope. No. Because, see, that's what Taye just did. Just for the love, just for the ooey gooey feeling. And he broke. And she decided to literally allow Tommy to convince her, because you saw the look on her face. She looked like she was really taking it in. Like, well, if Tommy believes in him and Tommy's wife did it, I should do it. No, you idiot. No, you idiot. Taye, you too old for this. And do you know that they frat brothers? Girl, don't ever trust a frat brother to tell you the real righteous stuff about his frat brother. He gonna lie for him just to try to put him in a better position. So with that being said, I'm hoping I literally was just about to say that. I hope the reunion is good and they just didn't give us the highlights. And then when we see it, because it's going to be 2 parts, it's going to be an absolute bore. The reunion is next week, and I know it's on a Friday. Y'all let me know in the comment section if y'all want to literally talk about it Friday night, like after it airs. Then we can talk about it, or again, we could just do it like on Saturday. But yeah, I'm ready for this reunion. I'm ready for everybody to be put out there on blast. And who's really real and who's really not. And I need to find out what Cisco career choice is, because I'm still confused, honey. I'm confused as to him. He keeps saying the career choice might be a problem. What is that career choice? Because it sounds like that career choice is something that Taye is going to have to invest in financially. That's what it sounds like. But with that being said, thank you guys for listening to my review on Ready to Love. This was my first time actually watching this show. I would say it was pretty good. I hate that they did that big old gap for like a couple of months where literally you was watching a show and then 3 months later it came back on. I hope they never do that again. But depending on the reunion, I may continue to add this to my actual shows that I will review. I know some of you guys said I need to look at previous seasons. Lord willing, when I have time, I'll do those and review them. But I must say, I can see why people watch this show. I can see why. Now, hopefully, the reunion gives all the bells and whistles, oohs and ahs and popcorn and everything else that I want. Hopefully, that is the case. But let's continue the conversation in the comment section. What did you guys think about this season? What did you think about the finale? Are you Team Sahara and what she did to Cam? What do you feel about Taye and Cisco? And what do you feel about Kiki and Jay? And what do you feel about Hussein? who literally dropped his number one just to leave the show with no one. So with that being said, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on my next video. Toodles.